Okay, I have a bunch of different projects going on right now, but I realized that in 2 weeks it will be a year since I started Bible journaling. And I started out really strong. My goal was to do 12 this year, and I did 12 in like 2 months. And then I slowed down only because I was like, I just want to make sure I do like really important stuff. I know some people do this like every single year, but I want to just keep adding as I feel inspired to add. And then eventually, if it gets too full, I will move to something else. But you can see it's getting pretty full there. So I just thought I'd do a walkthrough. And this first page I did just the intro with my name and just that favorite childhood song. And then I had an old hymnal, and I love this song. It reminds me of my grandfather for some reason, and so I wanted to use that hymnal in some way, and so I just added a little page in there with washi. So I'm going to try to... My goal now is, I don't know that I'll get it done in all next year, but I'll keep Bible journaling. My goal is to do at least one in every single chapter of the Bible. In most of these, I have multiple apps. So this first one, and these are not in order. All of these have dates somewhere on the page. Oh, it's hard to see. Oh, it's over here. I did this one in May. So this one, I just, I use a lot of Pinterest to kind of get inspired. So that one is one that I looked at on Pinterest, and but it was from a sermon that was about Noah and how he walked with God, and the significance of his life walking with God versus someone else's. And I did that one with a lot of videos on my YouTube channel. I don't have a lot yet, but I just talk about like using gesso. So that's how I started. I just went to YouTube. I watched a bunch of people. How did you paint on your page without going through the other back side? And so they go through that. And so I have videos where I've walked through some of these and how I did them. But I'm just going to walk through the Bible here. Some of them were more simple. Another Genesis one, God meant it for good. And I used part of a illustrated faith kit, but then I added some like little stuff. Let's see. Try not to skip anything. And this is where I need to get back into this Old Testament, and get some more stuff done. So I do like the Old Testament, but we tend to spend more time. I tend to spend more time. So this one was from a conference I went to, and it's God is all I need, but he wants to be everything I desire. And so behind this little tip-in, I wrote about that. And sometimes I put a little tag like this is about devotion and desire. And again, these are a lot of illustrated faith. I got those at some scrapbook stores. And there are some previous videos that I have that I talk about the products and what I use and all that. So I love this quote by Esther. My mom gave me a sign. This is on my birthday. And my mom gave me a Bible verse that said that sign. And so I was just kind of inspired by that. I did this simple little one. Just a little reminder. Let's see. Trying not to miss any pages here. They don't all have little things. This was just kind of a time where I was just thinking about how I'm kind of in a desert place, and I'm looking at that Psalms. And so I just wrote about that desert place and how thirsty I was for God, but, being obedient while I'm waiting. And I've said this before. I told myself I wasn't going to criticize, what I did, because these are really just about, so I'm not going to say this is my favorite, this is my least favorite. I don't like this one, and I like the way this turned out. I wrote all about my home growing up here, and it went with a sermon that we were studying at church, and just about being homesick for heaven. But the most I could relate it with was being homesick sometimes for that childhood home. This one is from Psalms. And it was, again, a Bible verse. And I actually took, in this case, I took a picture from Israel when we're sitting on the southern steps, printed it on wax paper, and then rubbed it on the page. So that's kind of exciting to have right here where they're talking about these steps, talking about the pilgrimage to Israel, knowing that Jesus walked up these steps on his pilgrimage to Israel, to be able to put a picture over that spot. I've been there. And over that spot that they're discussing right there. So that was, I love just the idea of that. This one, Shape, Direct, Send. Again, this was a series from church A lot of these have little tip-ins where I'll write about it. I'm a note taker, just by nature. That helps me focus. And so I usually come home, and that's been really helpful to come home and look at my notes and just kind of like weed through like what is the most significant thing I want to remember. And then this one, just a favorite verse, of course, just about how uniquely we are made. And a lot of Psalms, of course. I love the Psalms. Another Psalms. I stitched this on the page, and then this is just paper clipped with a little star paper clip, and then on the back is some journaling. This was my very first page, and so really went all out, lots of bling, and that's, I think, did I do that? Oh, I did that last Christmas when I received this Bible, so I guess almost over a year I've been doing this. This one I did for my godchildren, and I put little prayers that I have for them right there, and I just wanted to have a little spot for them in my Bible too, since that's like a huge religious faith commitment. This one I did about mission trips. Like I said, a lot of these go with sermons. Some of them I just did because this has been my verse for a long time. Here I am, send me. Just because my very first mission trip definitely was not one that I had thought up, but that God had thought up, and it's a really neat story. But the willingness to go and to offer myself before he has to ask in the future. So anyway, okay, so this was my word for last year, shine. I have not decided if or what my word will be this year. And, really instead of not just about myself and my light, just like helping other people, like encouraging them and making sure that people didn't feel like defeated and knew how special they were and like how significant their light was to God was my focus. This one was a Mother's Day one. We went to church, obviously, and so this little sticker, it is one that I bought from the Illustrated Faith Collection. I'm trying to think of the girl's name, but if you go there, the Print and Pray shop, I love her style. And this little lady looks just like my mom if she were a sticker. So anyway, so that was that sermon. And then this one again was inspired from online. If you have the faith of a mustard seed. Some were more simple, some were painted. At the risk of not doing it at all because I don't have time, sometimes I do it even if it's going to be simple because I don't want to forget. So, there's that one. This is another one where I had a picture from Israel that I put in there. It's of the house where Jesus would have stayed, probably. And that one I printed on a overhead. Okay, this was another one, maybe an If Gathering, no, sermon, there's my pastor's name. So I try to put like, if I was, like inspired by a sermon, or if I was inspired by a conference, or just something that I was feeling, I tried to add that. So there's another one, very, very simple, but, this one, oh, I just did this last week. Okay, so I've been looking forward to the Christmas ones. I'm going to do I'm going to do one this week based on the sermon we just heard. I just haven't got around to it, and I didn't want to wait because I've been meaning to do this for a while. So here's another one. This was I printed on, one of those clear mailing labels, and that's the tomb where they believe that Jesus was laid, depending on, some people believe there's another spot, some Orthodox believe it was a different spot. There's a lot of Protestants believe that's where he was laid. So, and then here's one, I just thought that was fun. I just love that paper. And it goes with a sermon we heard. So, this one is about the who I am, the whoever. And that one, I took that, like that inspired me, and these are just paper scraps I had that I cut up, and that was more part of paper, and then I like made these like layered paper scraps too. So a lot of these have dimensions, it's hard to tell. I know that one's in there somewhere. Oh, this would be Palm Sunday. did just some I cut out my some I printed on that mailing. It's like a clear packaging mailing thing you can print for packages, which I discovered via YouTubers. This was from the If Gathering, which I'm excited about this year too. It's in February, and so I just wrote all about discipling. I don't know. Just simple one, some puzzle pieces, and then the opposite side too. This I think maybe the only one that I have one on both sides, but it's Acts, so we've been studying Acts in church. It's about grace alone. See, lots of Acts, and I really have been off my Bible journaling game, so I could definitely go back and add some more. Okay, here we have Romans, and I think nope, I didn't have anything there. Some of these explain themselves and didn't need a tip-in to explain. That would be around Valentine's Day, I'm sure, that I did that one where I just found a verse about love and added some fun little doodads. And I took a, this is kind of a nice memory because I took a crochet class last year. I learned to crochet and crocheted a couple things. I was just thinking just thought of a project I wanted to do, so. This one I just did with matte pencil, and then, oh, I guess I've done two. So lots of different techniques, lots of different papers. I buy the Illustrated Faith, I use my scraps, I go online and look at Pinterest, but I have really enjoyed it. So, this is going to be a fun memory, and this year, I got one for my mom to do, just because I thought it would be really special to be able to see through her eyes. You know, she's definitely the one that raised me and taught me about Jesus and directed me that path. And so I would love to see through her eyes. Like I say, this one is a more recent one. I did that at Thanksgiving. And this is a napkin from our Thanksgiving meal. And I learned you can take all the back, I did a tutorial on this too, but you can take all the plies on the back off, and then you can use gesso, paint the page, stick it down. And so what's fun is it went with what I wanted to write about, and I mean it's an actual little scrap from my Thanksgiving meal, so I have a little souvenir. So I broke out my finest china, as you can see. So let's see what else. I have a few, at least one more. I think I may have two more. So there's one. This was a sticker I got at Hobby Lobby. These are just some papers I cut out to kind of match that sticker. Some ribbon I've had in my stash, probably from somewhere like Hobby Lobby. This was another one from the If Gathering, and I really think that that's my last. But every time I do one of these, I put a little date on it somewhere, so I know when I did it. A lot of times I put, if it's like from a sermon, or it might just be a verse that stuck out to me that I heard. In that case, I wouldn't do that. But if it's from a sermon or something like that, I put it down here. And if it's a quote someone said, I put it right there. So I have really enjoyed it. Definitely, I love going back through. It helps cement the sermons for me, and I'm going to continue doing it in the new year.